bit forward, but I want to just demonstrate some jQuery functions. Can you see my Can you see my screen? The code?
Yes.
Great. All right. So this is just a quick page I wrote just to demonstrate writing dynamic DOM. So basically creating a table on the fly, for example, and there's about 3 examples, 3 different methods that I use. I'm going to show you each of those. Okay. This is it's a Bootstrap page. We're not using Bootstrap this semester, but it uses data tables, which is a common table plugin. I'm not sure if any of you, but that's sort of here and there for what we're doing right now. Okay, so I've got a template here. I've got a table 1. Okay, so just a div. And I've got another div, okay, table 3 container. That's going to be a responsive Bootstrap container. But here's where the fun begins. Okay, so write table 1. My first example is going to be a really simple one. Okay, I'm going to have an array of strings 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, how many columns? 1. Okay, make it simple. And I'm just doing $.each, which is, again, this is another, this is a jQuery iterator, but I don't have a selector here, right? This is actually just going to take an array. And the first parameter here is going to be the index. Okay. So basically, I'm doing, if not I mod num calls, I'm going to basically create a row. Okay. Now num calls is 1, so I'm going to create a row every time. Okay. And so I'm going to go T-cell. I'm going to create an element here. When I actually create an element, so I say $ bracket, left bracket, right bracket, TR, that actually creates a DOM element in memory, right? It's not actually in the DOM yet, right? I talked about this last week. I can create live DOM elements or DOM elements in memory before I actually stuff them in the DOM. And so what I'm doing here is I'm actually creating a row element in memory. It's wrapped with, and it's a jQuery object. I'm creating a T-cell. Probably should declare that. Okay. But I'm creating a TD on the fly, and then I'm setting its internal HTML to data sub I. So data sub 0, 1, 2, 3. So basically, I'm creating a row and a TD. In this case, I'm selecting $table1, $table1, which is, again, it's actually a table object, as you remember. So it's table 1 is actually a table already. Okay. .append trow. Okay. And append trow.append T-cell. So first of all, the cell gets appended to the row. Then the row gets appended to the table. Okay. All right, so let's actually run that one. Command my thing here. We'll run table 1, table 2. And there's my table, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. Okay. Any questions on that example? That was a really simple one. We're just going to get a little bit more complex each time. Okay, let's look at the second way to do this. I'm going to write table 2. Oh, we're not doing table 3 container yet. That's why it was complaining. There we go. So here I'm doing pound table2 dot append. So remember, this is a div. I'm going to append to that div the following text. Table, class equal table, table hover, tr, td, my column, row 1, td. So I'm basically just adding strings for each row. Okay. Actually, that one's, how many rows have I got here? I've got one row, 2 rows, and close it. So you can just stuff. So if you want to, when you're creating dynamic HTML, you can just create a big string and then just stuff it in. That's one way to do it. The other way, like we did before, is to actually just create these in-memory elements, use jQuery to, kind of manually create it. But again, we could have just iterated through here and just created a string and then appended the string. Okay, so let's try this one. Okay, I got 2 rows, 2 columns. Okay, that worked. Okay. I am going to provide you guys with this code as well. I meant to zip it up before class. All right, let's look at write table 3. Actually, let's go ahead and go to our page here. Let's just go to the debugger. Hopefully you're all familiar with the debugger. You're going to need it. Write table JS. We're in write table 3, so let's go ahead and, we call a function here. I'm going to go ahead and put a breakpoint here as well. Okay. I load this page. Okay, so in this case, I've actually created an array of arrays. This one is city 1, city 2, city 3. That's going to be my headers. Then my content, I've got 1, 2, 3 rows of content, also as array. I'm actually wrapping this table 3 container and passing it into my make responsive table function, passing in the ID of the table, and then I'm passing in the data. Okay. If you recall, again, this one just had a div and an ID. So let's go back. Okay. So make responsive table, I need to do the whole thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and create table, and again I can just wrap table object. Again, as long as you have the open and close brackets, it actually creates an in-memory table. If I said $table, that would be a problem, right? Without the brackets, because it would wrap all the table objects on the page, which we don't want. This actually creates a table in memory, and I'm going to add class table to that table object. Then I'm going to say table add class table hover, table border, table striped. Okay, these are bootstrap classes. Table adder ID, I set the ID that I passed in. Okay. Then I'm going to create a table body. So I create a T body, and then I'm going to go through now all my data, and I'm going to create rows, append them to the body, then I'm going to append the body to the table. So $, each. Again, there's 2 parameters that come to the each. We've only used the first one, index. If you define 2 parameters, that actually gives you the value, right? The actual data. Okay. So my row is going to create a TR. Then I'm going to do it each. Okay. On R is what? R is, the value is an array of strings. Okay. So I'm going to each through those as well. Okay. And I'm going to go call index C. C is going to be the actual string. I'm going to say var text span class equal glyphicon, glyphicon edit. This is just creating some icons. You could use like I was using my font awesome icons or something, right? I go plus C, and C is the actual string. Then I'm going to do row.append. Okay? And this is sort of a clever thing. Who can sort of tell me what this row is doing. Can you see it? Oh, you can't see it now because you're looking at me. You're looking at me. Oh, I'm in the browser. Sorry. That's probably hard to see, isn't it? Let's see. Can we make them bigger? We can make it bigger. Okay. So again, if you can't read it, I'll just go ahead and walk through it. But essentially, what I'm doing here is based on.
That's a ternary operator checking to see if the row index is 0. If it is, it calls it a table header, else it's a table data.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes. Okay. If you want to, like I said, the first row, of course, we know is the header, right? That's how I defined it: city 1, city 2, city 3. So the first time around, we want to output THs, a TR, and then 3 THs. After that, we want to do a TR and then 3 TDs. Okay. Okay. And so again, I append that row. I append all those rows, and then I say tBody append row. Okay, so the body gets all the rows, and at the very end, when we're done, I say tTable.append tBody. Okay. Then I return container.append table, because the container was the div. So now the DOM should have everything that it needs or wants. Let's see. We can go through. We can actually get through here. And again, hopefully you guys get really used to walking through. Let's see. Any questions on? Actually, we're going to go ahead and finish this one. Any questions on any of this? Okay. You'll be doing this in the future, iterating a JSON object, okay, or an array of objects. Okay. Let's see here. You could also use, even for this current assignment, right? You can use these same techniques. When you're doing validation, for example, right? You can use it. You could create your JSON array, how I talked about in class, and you can iterate through here, grab the validation, the name, the validation rules, right? Apply your validation in a for each statement, basically just going through each of those objects. All right, let's let me give you an example of that. Let's see what we got. Okay. And then there's my result. My table hover. I get the different, it works. Okay, let's see here. So that is